for 20 years. I'm never nervous.
I like your nails.
Oh, thanks. I went to, my mom's a legacy member of the foundation, and we went to this event, and these matched my outfit.
Perfect. Perfect.
So
Score.
I'm going to buy these.
So, yeah, start with who you are.
Okay, I'm Lisa Bradway. I'm the owner of the Northgate Juice Joint. And I want to thank Erica for inviting me to do this today because it's really important in my mind. I'm very passionate about food and the problems with our food system and why I opened up a juice bar. Basically, it was after working. I did teach originally. That's a college professor. But when Obamacare came in, I went over to help my husband, who's a physical therapist. And after working with the insurance companies and the healthcare for a while, I realized it's not going to be there for us when we need it. And I have diabetes type 2, which is a chronic illness, and I've been able to control it with exercise and diet without having to go on insulin. But I'm concerned about that because I'm nearly 60, and what is going to be there for me if I don't start taking care of myself better. And so I opened up the juice bar so that myself and everyone else, particularly students, have an opportunity to get something that's healthful in the area. So I have a handout, and those watching from home, I think we're going to make this available to everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Basically, I went through the questions that you had mentioned that you have posted on the board, but the benefits of juicing. You're going to hear different things about that, and we'll talk about the misconceptions in a minute. But the benefits of juicing, honestly, is that you're getting a quick uptake of vitamins, minerals, and also live enzymes. Since it's fresh, it has not been pasteurized. And what that means is your body recognizes it. It's a whole food. It's just been pre-digested, basically. And then your body can absorb it and start using it immediately in whatever way it needs to. So the benefit of juicing, in my mind, is like a super vitamin. I mean, we'll talk about vitamins in a minute, but you're not going to get the same thing taking supplements as you do from fresh juice. And I also insist on organic for anything on the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen, and I'll mention that in a minute. Well, we use organic produce, and that's going to have more minerals and nutrients in it for two reasons. One, it's going to be grown in live soils. So there's microorganisms in there. There's more minerals in that. It's a richer soil. So anything coming out of that soil is going to have more of what it needs in it. Conventional soils are dead for the most part. In fact, they intentionally kill everything in microorganisms. So a lot of people are eating really healthy, they think, eating great foods. But if it's not organic, the chances of you getting the nutrients you think you are, probably not there. Of course, you're not getting the pesticides and herbicides either, which is no small matter. And we'll talk about that in a minute because there are a lot of chemicals on your food. So the Dirty Dozen, if you look at that, this just came out a month ago. They do it every year, the Environmental Working Group. And I would recommend that you don't have to, you can voluntarily give $10 and they'll give you a plastic one of these. But it's a really good website. It has all of the information you need on cosmetics because there's some severe chemicals in fragrances, in lotions, in shampoos that are very, very harmful to women because they're hormone disruptors. So they think that that's why there might be early onset cancers in women, particularly breast and cervical, because of that. And you think that your government's protecting you from all of this, but honestly, there's 1,300 chemicals, I believe, that are banned in Europe that were in cosmetics, and we only ban 11 of those.
Oh, my Lord.
So, I mean, if you assume that we're being protected, I would have to say probably not. But let's just say this has the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Sorry, that's a juvenile person.
I know it's not
chili
Papa.
fest weekend, I think.
Oh, that's true.
So the Clean 15 means that you don't really have to buy organic for that. So when you're at the grocery store, take something like this with you. You can download it from the Environmental Working Group's website. But the Dirty Dozen, honestly, please buy organic for this. Don't eat it if you're not going to buy organic for this. Strawberries, I think I mentioned here, I don't know when, but strawberries, for instance, moved up to #1 because they use a banned chemical everywhere in the world. It was originally designed for chemical warfare. They put it in the soils in America for strawberry farmers to kill every living thing in the soil, and it's supposed to only have a 1-day life. But most people don't believe that's the case. Plus, any of the farm workers working there, any people living around there, the danger is fairly rare. Spinach moved up to #2 because of the sheer number of chemicals on that. Per pound, spinach now has more chemicals than any other produce out there. And that's bad because you can't, most of these you're not going to be able to wash off or rinse off. Or they'll spray them in the soil. They put that where the blossoms are for those like fruits and things, apples. Apples have been on here for over 15 years. So I don't eat anything but organic apples. You can't peel it off. It's inside the apple. Most of these are things that you like. Peaches are on here. It makes me sad. I finally found a local person who grows organic peaches because I can't offer peaches.
Yeah.
Particularly fresh peaches. And Texas has some fantastic peaches. So anyways, look at this and pay attention to that. Everything at the juice store will always be organic for the things on the Dirty Dozen. And of course, we have more than that. We grow kale and all of our herbs and things like that. They're all organically grown.
Well, I want to interrupt you real quick for you guys and anybody who's watching. I think that's really cool because that you do everything organic. Because for one, I know there's a higher cost involved.
Yes.
And for two, nobody else in College Station does it. And I can't think of anybody but maybe one juice place in Austin that does it. So, I mean, I don't even, is there any place even in Austin that does organic?
I think Daily Juice used to, but I don't know if they were partnered with Juice Land and they broke apart. So I don't know if Daily Juice is still.
So my point is that's really cool that, you know, you are that into
juicing.
The pesticide, you know, that organic.
Well, it's more, for me, it's even more important if you're juicing because once I put it in a commercial juicer, I'm removing all of the pulp. So everything in there is going to be rapidly absorbed by your body because it's, you know, it's pre-digested, it's ready to go.
Yeah. So
all of the chemicals that are in there too are going to be quickly absorbed and usable for your body. So for me, I wouldn't own a juice bar. In fact, I had a lot of negative criticism initially when I started this idea, when I went and asked different mentors, because they didn't think it was a viable business model. And, you know, we'll still see. I mean, it's going good, but I pay $80 for a case of apples, conventionals $30, $35. So it's not a little bit. That's why I grow as much as I can to be able to use in the drinks. But you're right. But to me, it's that important. And I don't want to be selling something that you think is healthy, particularly to children or cancer patients or the elderly or people on medication, which I know in my heart is not. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just said if you use organic, there's other benefits to that. One is it's good for the environment. It's good for bees. We're having a big problem with bees because of Monsanto's chemicals. If you can let flowers, if you can get some bee-friendly flowers out in your yard, like I let a lot of the mint that's out front go to flower, so the bees have things that they can pollinate with. Good for the farm workers, and you can read the details on that. And then just so you know, you're going to hear people say, oh, your body doesn't need to detox like the juice cleanses. It can do all of that by itself. It's blah, 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 blah. But the problem is there are chemicals in every single thing we come into contact with. Our air, our clothing, our house, our carpet, our food. But I listed just some of them, but like toothpaste, cleaners that we use, all of these things. And if any of you are familiar with Dr. Axe, he's fairly popular on the internet. He's big into just making all of your own cleaners, all of your own toothpaste and that, because he said you just can't get rid of some of these things. You'll go to the store and get coconut milk and you'll get almond milk. Be really careful to read that because they'll have carrageenan in it. Carrageenan is a seaweed, so it's natural, but once it's processed, some people believe it's carcinogenic. And there's quite a few people that are sensitive to that.
Oh, it tears up my stomach.
Yeah, so you couldn't even drink it. Okay, next what we do here, the benefits of juicing, is we use local produce as much as possible, and we grow our own. Because if you want the maximum benefit to anything that you're eating or drinking that involves produce, the sooner that you eat it or consume it after it's picked, the maximum it's going to have. And so the concern I have and why we do as much local and fresh is if you go to a grocery store, we don't know when it was picked. And some of the stuff can go away, and I mean, the nutrients will be gone in 3 or 4 days. Well, by the time you get it from the shelf in the grocery store, take it home, and then whenever you prepare it, there may not be much, if anything, left in terms of nutrients in that produce. So we encourage everybody. Part of what we do is a lab here also. We have students working here, but we have classes on how to grow your own produce and so forth, because we have a very small space, yet we grow a lot. So when you're even on a patio, you can grow 2 or 3 kale plants, and we do that at home. I have 2 kale plants, and I let them grow as long as they want to all year round. I don't do it just a winter crop. And we get at least 2 kale salads for 3 out of it. I mean, a huge thing for 5 leaves. So it's possible. It's not that difficult, and we really encourage people to do that, particularly students, because they don't have anywhere around here really other than Farm Patch to go to get produce. Okay, so, and then I mentioned that the benefit of juice is that it's like pre-digested food. So one of the most expenditures your body goes through in terms of energy is digestion. And if you can help your body not have to expend so much energy doing that, it can be doing other things like detoxing. So that's why smoothies are good too, because they're like pre-digested, but juices are optimum. Now they do have soluble fiber, so that does still benefit your colon, but you don't want to, I mean, doing a juice cleanse, you get soluble fiber in that, so you're not going to not get any fiber. But that's why I don't encourage people to do long-term juice cleanses, because I really don't think, unless you're doing it for a chronic illness, you have cancer, or like me, if my sugar's riding up after vacation, I might do, 6-7 days or something. But after the 5th day, you absolutely have to add some form of protein. So you almost move to a smoothie at that point.
So, but even though you don't recommend juice cleanses or detoxes for more than 5 days, you still recommend juicing frequently?
I have not had allergies, and I was one who got allergies every single year, and it went into bronchitis or ear infections. I mean, every year I took antibiotics until I started juicing when I owned the juice bar. And I do a green juice every single day, and I have not had any allergies at all. Which is, I mean, I can't say it will work for everybody.
Right.
It's kind of odd for me because being a type 2 diabetic, you're sort of at risk anyway for more infections because it's inflammatory. So it's really been nice for me, and I just do my good greens and do it over ice. I just make sure I have one first thing in the morning. I usually do more than one juice, but this is one I have every single day. So. And then those of you who have it's going to separate based on the type of soluble fiber in it. So you just, like yours, I can tell it's separating. Just mix it like this, because you want to get all of the, particularly like pineapple and apple, it will ride to the top. That's the soluble fiber, but you absolutely want that because that's good for your colon. Okay, taking supplements. My concern about the supplements is that it's not a regulated industry. And so you don't know what you're getting. And they already know that there's fillers, chemicals, dyes, sugars, gluten, whatever in many, many supplements. And so my suggestion is to get your supplements from fresh food as much as possible. And I believe y'all were at Etiology, I'm sorry. And one of the nice things about that is you have fresh, whole food. And so that's all I'm saying. Now we juice it. We also have a vegan vegetarian menu. And everything that we have that's edible is homemade. With our cookies and things are made with organic eggs, flour, and so forth. So it's just important to me. Our theme is to remove chemicals from everything and make it from scratch, so that we're not having processed items and all the things. If it can sit on a shelf, if it's in a can, if it's in a box, it's not going to be good for you. Okay. The juice cleanse. I'll just mention that I handed out this for you, and those of you that are not here. We can talk. Does everybody have one of these? Okay. Basically, I just want to tell you, it answers some of the questions that you get all the time with cleansing. You don't need to cleanse. Your body does it naturally. Well, you know what? Our body's never been bombarded with as much chemicals as it is now. And we don't have the nutrients in our food that we used to, so our body doesn't have the fuel to detox.
Right.
And so you can hear that, and it's sort of rhetoric. You hear it from the doctor. My own medical team says that, but I know it works. I know that juicing is important. And so what I say here is, yes, your body does do that, but it needs the fuel to be able to do that. It's not going to do that without organic produce, particularly for the Dirty Dozen, and fresh local produce if at all possible. The more nutrients you have in your produce, the better your body's going to react to things. And so that's why I'm saying it does help. Juicing does help. In Ayurvedic medicine, they suggest juicing at the change of every season at a minimum, just to help you get through the next, and eating seasonally.
And Ayurvedic, real quick, can you just briefly explain to them Ayurvedic?
That's basically an Asian medical system, India primarily. And so, for instance, we sell Tulsi tea here. It's holy basil tea. They use that in a lot of the religious ceremonies, but primarily because it's so healthy for you. If you have a cup of green tea or Tulsi tea every single day, it's just healthy.
What's it called?
Tulsi.
Tulsi.
But it's holy basil. Like you can grow holy basil, but it's Tulsi, and they have 3 Ayurvedic types. But I just buy the basic. But you can tell when an Indian student will come in, they'll ask me for different types, and I know what they're talking about, but I don't have enough customers to order them by types. But it's very healthful the way they do regularly the neti pot. I do that. That may be helping with allergies too. When it's allergy season, I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a little pot of salt water, and you put it in one side of your nose, it comes out the other. Sounds gross. It's not.
It works really
It
well.
works. I've got my daughter. My daughter's been doing it since she was 14. Whenever she starts getting allergies, she goes and gets her neti pot and does her saline water solution through that. So it's helpful. What are the benefits of cleansing? Definitely increased energy. The first day or so of the cleanse, your body's doing the most detoxing. You're going to be tired, irritable. You might have headaches if you've been eating real poorly. If you've been doing a lot of caffeine before that, you're going to have more negative symptoms that first day, possibly the second. But after that, you're going to be amazed. I mean, I've done as much as 9. I wouldn't recommend that for many people, but I was really trying to get my sugar down. And I felt fantastic, and I couldn't believe I wasn't eating like fiber.
Yeah.
Now, of course, by the 9th day, I was like, I need to choose something. So, but normally I recommend a 3-day cleanse. A 5-day cleanse would be in that range somewhere as a good.
Lisa, when you said you felt fantastic, and I know that you can, after the first day, you can start to feel the benefits of a cleanse, of juicing. What did you mean by feeling fantastic? Like, what were some differences that you noticed?
Your mood is you're just so light, and you're just the way you think about things and the way you feel, just physically and mentally, you just feel so happy. It's almost like the serotonin is revved up in your system. It just feels like you've shed something, like a big heavy coat, and you just feel very good. Your skin changes, your hair usually changes. Like if your hair is drier, it'll get moisture. If your nails are brittle, they'll improve. If your skin is not moist looking, that will improve. But definitely your mood and the way you feel changes because you're not putting poisons in your system. Now, I can't say that would be the case of juicing when they're not using organic produce. I honestly say I would not do a juice cleanse if it wasn't organic produce. I wouldn't, because I know I'm going to be getting a heavy dose of chemicals straight to my system. So if you do a juice cleanse, make sure that you ask them at a minimum, are the things on the Dirty Dozen organic? It improves your digestion. You have live enzymes coming in with the fresh juice, and that helps with the digestion. So it then is also healing your gut. I'm sure you've heard a ton about the leaky gut syndrome and the microbiome and all that. They're finding out that may be the root cause of all chronic illnesses. So eating any sort of chemicals, drinking sodas, makeup you use, shampoos, anything that's absorbed into your system is going to be destroying the good bacteria in your gut and in your colon. And it takes time to get that back restored. If you've ever been on antibiotics, it's shifted your body. It can kill, I think they've said 50 to 75% of the good bacteria one session of antibiotics. And it's not easy to replenish. In order to do that, you really need a lot of fermented foods. You need to be eating organic. You cannot have processed foods. You just have to be very careful with your system after that. And your lotions, cleaning materials that you're using, paint that you're using in your house. Like when my husband's a physical therapist, when we painted his office, we did it with low VOC paint because he has so many elderly patients that have chronic illnesses that those types of chemicals could really affect their system and then cause them to get even sicker. Okay, it revitalizes your taste buds, which is true. After about 5 days, things will just taste so much better. I think for me, the nice thing is it reduces unhealthy addictions. Once you've cleansed, you've gotten rid of caffeine, sugar, because all you've had is fresh produce and clean water. So when you're done with the cleanse, don't go back on those things. They're out of your system. So just, eat healthfully after that, and you'll win that game.
You said clean water.
I go to Jacob's Well to get water, and I say that because I've tried different filters. We use a filter here that works to some extent. You can go to even more extent, buy one for your system, for your house. But the water that comes out of the faucet, they have tested it in different places, and there's medicine in it and chemicals in it and fluoride, which you don't need. So I would say yes, do something. Bottled water is a little bit of a scary thing only because of the plastic. Even if something says BPA free, I just don't think that's good. If you can, get a water bottle that's aluminum or glass.
You said over here 100% compostable straws and lids?
Yeah, all of these are 100% compostable because we're a certified green restaurant. So everything we have, in fact, we don't have any trash service other than DVR who comes and gets our pulp. But now I have 2 pig farmers that want my pulp, so I'm not going to be using any. They can't eat this, obviously, but this is made of corn. So if you leave this, it has to be in an industrial composting facility, which Brazos Valley Recycling has, because it has to reach a temperature high enough to melt this. But I can tell you, I've left one of these in my car in the summer, and I come out and it's just this little glob of plastic. So, but you don't want to drink a juice that's been sitting out anyway. If you want to consume juices, they're not pasteurized. They need to be consumed immediately or refrigerated. Oh, thank you. He's bringing out some samples.
Oh, sweet.
Now, I'll let somebody else do this one.
Okay.
What? Yeah, that may be good. These are some of the drinks we have on the cleanse, so this is timely that you're getting this. This is one of the green ones. It's called Alkalizer. This is Root and Fruit, and this is Mellow Yellow. And there's another green one, and then there's one like a flu shot for the morning to get your bile going. But this will give you an idea. They're a little bit stronger than what you would have in some of the juices we have on the menu, because it's going to have less sugar in it. It's going to have more greens. It'll have parsley. And those are things we don't often put in the other drinks because they're a little stronger taste. Okay, so the other benefits of cleansing, it clears a mental fog. I don't know, I get that sometimes where I walk into something, and it put me at my age too, but you walk into a room and you go, why am I here? What did I come in for?
Yes. Put the milk in the milk in the pantry.
Yeah, and it removes stored toxins. And this is something that's really important for anybody out there that has adipose tissue, it has extra weight. Whenever you start losing weight, fat tissue holds a lot of toxins in it. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure you're cleansing in terms of drinking lots and lots and lots of good water, because your body has to get rid of it somehow. So even in our cleanses, I recommend multiple things. You have to drink water all day long. You have to. That's one way to flush out the toxins when you go to the bathroom. Epsom salt baths at night with your favorite essential oil, a good essential oil, a pure essential oil, every single night. Hot, like warm hot, and sitting there for at least 30 minutes. Then shower off. That's going to help. Before you get into the bath or into the shower, do dry brushing. Are y'all familiar with that? Okay, you can get a natural dry brush at the health food store, and you brush up towards your heart from your legs all the way up and all that every morning or every time you're getting ready to go shower. And that gets rid of, it sloughs off some of that, particularly in the morning if you're showering in the morning, things that came out overnight. So you're getting rid of all that, and plus you feel good. It just feels great to do that dry brushing. When you're cleansing, I recommend it because you need as many ways to get rid of that as possible. If you have access to a steam room, that's a good idea. So, if it's hot out and you want to, somebody said, can I sit in my car in the summertime? And I thought, well, as long as you don't hurt yourself.
We used to do that, actually. After we ran, it's like,
you just sweat
sit in the car.
Okay, so let me see. Did I get that? Did I get everything? And then if you have any questions at all, we offer 2 cleanses. One's a 40-ounce cleanse, which you have to supplement with salads or green smoothies because it's not enough nutrients. The 80-ounce cleanse is the minimum I would recommend for doing nothing but juice and water. So, and one is $25 a day and one is $48 a day. But there's a tremendous amount of produce that goes into a cleanse. I mean, because the amount of produce that I'm putting in to get a good greens is amazing. Because greens, for instance, don't produce a lot of juice anyway. But it's something to try. It's really worthwhile.
I agree. I mean, definitely try it. And the thing with that being at home and doing it, like sometimes I'll do my own juice cleanses at home. I've done yours before, which I love more than mine because it's more variety. Mine's more just here's some recipes and do it. Yeah. But your kitchen looks like a jungle. I mean, and then you've got to go to the store frequently because you want it to be as fresh as possible. But like you said, even though you don't know how fresh it is. But so I mean, people can do it at home, but I definitely recommend doing yours.
Yeah, we talk about
the real thing.
And also it's easier. I even juice here. I have a juicer at home, but I mean, let's face it, it's easier for me to juice up here.
Taking shots.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Shots
on a Saturday.
Sorry, I think a bug flew in my mouth. Did you have this one? A little protein in there. Natural protein. Okay, if you have any questions about the cleanse, I'm here to answer them. I answered a lot of questions in that little brochure. Okay, how to lose weight with juicing, that was a question. I don't recommend using juicing to lose weight as your primary goal. You will lose weight when you're juicing, but the whole purpose of doing a juice cleanse is to detox your system and to make sure you're getting all these wonderful nutrients so that you can start fresh in a new healthful eating habit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people talk about cleansing, and they're really talking about not juice cleanses, they're talking about smoothie cleanses, which isn't really technically a cleanse because it has a lot of fiber in it. But water is critical. The other things I mentioned are critical when you're cleansing. They'll all help get rid of that toxins. And if you've had fat on your body, a lot of that's going to be when the fat goes away, so are toxins released. And so you may feel, if you're heavier, and you're cleansing, you may feel kind of funny for a couple of days, maybe 2.5, because you've got a lot of toxins that are coming out of your system. But that's a good sign. That means it's working. If you don't have a lot of adipose tissue and you're just revitalizing your system, you probably won't have those same symptoms. But if you smoke or you drink coffee or things like that, you're going to have headaches and that the first day or so. Juicing for food intolerances. You're only consuming produce. That's it. Good, clean, whole, local produce. So there's nothing you should really be intolerant to. I mean, it would be unlikely. I mean, there are people who are allergic to strawberries and things like that, peanuts, all that. That's not going to be in a cleanse. Most of the things that are in cleanses are going to be green, or they're going to be some kind of citrus, and like lemon is alkalizing. People think it's acidic, but when it hits your system, it's an alkalizing benefit. So putting those in cleanses, drinking lemon water all day long, is, particularly when you're cleansing, is a really good idea. So I think that once you do a juice cleanse, you should have eliminated all those intolerances and then start adding food back very slowly. They tell you corn and dairy and gluten and those things, I'd be very careful and wait a whole week before I moved on to the next one to see if it's causing you problems. And if it is, eliminate it. Okay. You'll hear, I think these are the things that people are talking about, the negative things. Juice, problems with juicing, people say, it's too high in sugar. I'm a diabetic type 2. When I'm on juices, my sugar goes down. And the reason is because, yes, an apple has sugar in it. Yes, a carrot has sugar in it. But these are also benefits and nutrients that your body recognizes. So not only am I taking in that fructose, I'm also getting this huge influx of really good nutrients. And so my body's using all of it in a very positive way. It's not going to be, my system is not as impacted as if I had a sugar soda, because what am I getting there? I'm getting sugar and chemicals. So that's all I'm getting from my system. It's different with juicing because you're getting a great deal more in your juice. So I have not found this to be the case. I mean, I also don't drink pineapple. I wouldn't have a juice that's pineapple and apple. I mean, I'm careful in what I put in there, and I use green apples when I can, and I don't use a lot of them. I have more greens and celery and things like that. But I disagree unless you're drinking the wrong kind. And another thing is, I can just buy the bottled juice, the shelf juice. Have all these juices now. Starbucks has bought a juice company. They have all this. First of all, if it's in the grocery store and it's on a shelf, even if it's refrigerated, the worst kind is on a shelf not refrigerated, because there's nothing left in there unless they added it back. The ones that are refrigerated that look like they're fresh juices you don't know how long that's been there. It's been pasteurized. Even if it's high pressure pasteurization, cold pasteurization, it's meant so that you can keep it there longer. That's why that's why these are more expensive, because you're handcrafting, you're drinking. It's meant to be consumed now, because vitamins disappear with time, with light, particularly those two, and with heat. So if you pasteurize it, that's high heat. You're getting rid of everything. So I've often asked, I haven't got an answer to this, on the labels when they give you that fruit thing, the juice, where is that coming from? Is that prior to processing it? Because after I process it, I don't have vitamin A, C, and particularly C. C's gone. So what is on that label unless they add back artificial vitamins to it? So you have to be careful with juices. Definitely don't even buy the canned juices. Don't even try that. Anything else, like I've heard, and I don't know that this is true, but I have heard this from several sources, that orange juice, they'll pick those oranges and leave them in a refrigerated place for months. Well, vitamin C is so susceptible once you pick it, then once you cut it. So here they are picking it, then they're leaving it in a refrigerated, so it's still losing vitamin C. Then they cut it and juice it and leave it there for 6 months before they put it in a container to send to you. So again, what am I getting when I pay for all this? Get one of those little teeny things. I have one. It's like $15. It's a little juicer. We make our own lemonade. 1 cup of organic sugar, and then you make a simple syrup. 1 cup of hot water. 1 cup of fresh lemon juice or lime juice, and then 4 cups of water. And that's all you need. Now, you don't have to add that much sugar if you don't want to. With lemonade, it's hard though, because the acid in lemon does cause problems with stevia and stuff like that. In terms of you getting that sweetness afterwards. But make your own orange juice. It's not that difficult to do. It doesn't take that long. It's good for your kids too. Yes. Powdered. I don't like powdered. I don't like anything that's processed. For the most part, if it's processed, in my opinion, it's meant to be convenient or to be stored, and you're losing something from that. So that powdered peanut butter, even, I've had people ask about that. It's just better to get organic peanut butter. You can get it pretty inexpensively at H-E-B, but be really careful and read the ingredients, because they have two types, and one has palm oil in it. So make sure you're reading those and getting the one that doesn't. It may require you to stir more, but at least you're getting. You also can make your own. I don't. It's a pain, but you can. So anyways, you might want to read through this, but the main thing about anything that you're getting at the grocery store, and you're not growing yourself, don't get a canned one. Well, also can is lined with BPA. Almost all of it is, unless it says BPA free. Any of the jars that have that little red ring, that's BPA. Unless it says BPA free, that's going, and that's very harmful.
What does the red ring do?
It has BPA, a chemical in it to preserve what's inside the jar.
So that's what the red ring has in it.
Yeah, and that's why anything that has that or is lined, the cans are lined with BPA, it's particularly harmful for women. So if you can get, there are some, very few, that again, making your own is best if you can. Make your own tomato sauce, make your own, and but be careful, like even at Starbucks and Chick-fil-A and some of those places, they rated it, and I think Environmental Working Group has it on their website, some of the most harmful chemicals within the packaging.
Yeah.
And those are very high. They have a lining in Starbucks coffees. Well, if that lining's in there and then I drink hot coffee, it's absorbed into that coffee. So it's not just what they're putting into it, it's also, where they're putting it. So you have to be careful about that.
Great point.
But that's the thing when people say, well, there's not that many chemicals in this. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. I mean, places when I think of stuff that I'm giving, I've always given my daughter organic eggs and milk. Even when they said, no, you don't have to worry about that. I always have, because I just felt that as much as they're putting into those cows is coming straight into. They think that's why girls, particularly in the United States, develop so fast and are more susceptible to cervical cancer at such a young age. So there are things that you can do, and sometimes you just have to trust your intuition. And I'm a PhD, so I'm big into research. But still, because there isn't really great research on nutrition, because there's no money in it. So nobody's giving A&M. Monsanto gives A&M money, but it's not to research, is organic better than ours? So sometimes you have to just trust your instincts too. So, I say that as a PhD, but honestly, you don't have every bit of information available to you, so you have to see. Try it on yourself, use yourself as an experiment, you can see.
And I found that information is just like statistics. It can be so easily manipulated depending on how you ask the questions, who's asking the questions, what you do with that data. So it's just really hard to trust anything out there when it comes to food and nutrition, I think.
Well, and you always have to ask the source of the research, because I had several people telling me, oh, you really want these food supplements and these protein powders. And so I said, well, we're really big into not adding chemicals in the processing and heat and all of this. And when you get down to the nitty gritty and they tell you where the research was funded, it's by the person who's selling the product.
Of course,
well, I don't trust. You might as well not even present that research to me, because I really don't believe it. Because if they were really interested in providing accurate information, they'd have a third party, independent third party, do the research for them. Let's see, what type of juicer to buy if you juice at home? I have a centrifugal juicer that probably costs $40. It's a T-FAL. You can't find them all the time. I got mine at Tuesday morning, and I think one time I got it at Kroger's, because they do break after about a year. But it has a really big opening, so you can put things into it. And the best juicer is one that you're going to use. Well, the slow auger juicers, the ones that have a little screw that goes like this, those are slow, and they're hard to clean, and they clog a lot. So I have both. I never ever use my slow juicer. I use the other one. Yes, there is some oxidation that occurs, but frankly, how much? I've never noticed a difference when I've had juices from both. So people make a big deal out of that. Is it as slow? Is it cold processed or whatever? I have extra fans on I bought juicers that have extra fans on them, so it never goes up to a point. It's always raw. Everything we serve for the most part is raw, except our cookies. And that's important. That's very important, because you want to be able to have all those enzymes. If it reaches a certain temperature, you don't. But cold processing, when they do cold processing, the only type of cold processing you can get is a manufacturing in the commercial industry. It's a humongous machine. It's meant to process bottle after bottle after bottle of juices all day long. Don't tell me that doesn't heat to some extent.
Right.
So those juices are going to be losing those nutrients. Plus, they're bottled. And yes, they taste the same in 3 or 4 days, but do you have any real content in them anymore? So at home, I would say centrifugal. Don't spend a huge amount of money on it. Do whatever is easy to clean. I put a plastic bag, the kind you get at the grocery store, inside the pulp container, so all you have to do is pull that out, and I don't have to keep, because washing pulp is a
What a
pain.
great idea.
High
five. I just learned.
And then also, you know, it's worth it to have like a toothbrush or something nearby, because you just, as soon as you make a juice, clean it. Honestly, just take the time. If nothing else, do the basket. Because once that dries, it's like cement. I mean, I'm always telling my guys, you've got to, plus having a sprayer is nice if you have one, because that helps too. Let's see. But again, just if you're going to do juicing, don't spend a lot of money on it. See if you like it. See if you're going to do it. And, you know, check some of the places like Tuesday Morning Out. I wouldn't spend over $100 probably. I know that they have the Breville and those sorts of things. Well, yeah, go there, use your 20% coupon and get something that you're going to use. But I would do centrifugal. What do you do with the pulp? You can put it in your garden. It helps in terms of making sure we have worms in our soil, which is really good. You can do a compost if you want to just make composting, because all you have to add then is newspaper, because remember the inks have been, they're vegetable based for the last 20 years, so you can use those in your composting. And then some brown matter, so some leaves or something like that. And then you have to turn it. But that's super soil. I mean, if you can do that, your plants will grow like crazy. And you can get one. I don't know if we still have ours. They didn't put it together right, so I think I threw it out. But you can get them at Lowe's. You can order them online. You can get them at, I think every now and then Sam's will have a nice one out that you can actually spin. And so it makes it easier to do that. And then you just remove what you want for your potting. Okay. Tips. I think I gave you all those. One thing that people don't understand, even about organic, is and I differ a little bit from Dr. Axe, because he says eat dirt. He has this book, you know, it's really good to get your hands dirty and get the organisms that are out there so your body can build up immunity. But in all honesty, and this is going to sound a little gross, but when people are out in the field picking, they don't have bathroom facilities nearby. So oftentimes they're defecating or whatever in the fields, not every place, but you don't know where. And it can even be organic. But you don't want to consume that. That would be very, very bad for you. So no matter what produce is that you're having, you need to really clean it well. We spray everything with a vinegar and water solution that's like 1 part vinegar, 3 parts water. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, but you have to make sure it's, you know, covered. And then we rinse all that off, and then we dry everything. You know, the main thing for drying is because it will store better. So kale, you know, we're drying it and then putting some paper towel with it when we store it, because moisture is what is bad. We also, he's taking pulp out. We recycle. We have a lot of pulp, so there's a lot of, we probably fill up 5 of those yellow bins a week or more. Okay. Okay, if you cannot consume it, you want to consume the juice immediately. That's your first thing.
So better
If you can't, you can freeze it, like a little ice cube, but it's not going to taste the same. Okay, just so you know. You can consume a juice, like even this. Let's say I take it home and I put it in the refrigerator. It will taste, if it has greens in it, it's going to be a little more bitter each time I let it go. And I honestly think within 1 day you need to be drinking these. That's why for cleanses, and people don't always like this, because they say, well, I mail ordered it and they gave me 3 days at one time. Well, I don't do that. You're spending $48 a day for a cleanse. You need to come pick it up, because I can give you 3 days worth of cleanses and you can drink those, but you're not getting what you paid for. So that's super important with cleanses. And I think that was it I had.
Cool.
And then y'all have any questions for us?
I do. I just wrote some down.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, real quick, if you don't mind going over why do people kill the microbes in the soil? What's their reasoning behind that?
I don't think they're interested in killing the microbes. They're interested in killing harmful insecticides.
Okay,
Instead of using insecticides or pesticides, but they're using this in that form. But they still use insecticides and pesticides in the same way. It's just that with strawberries, it's that super bad one.
Right. Okay.
But that's what they're doing. So they don't care what else they kill. It's just like conventional soils. And if you go to Europe, you'll go, like we lived in Sicily. I would go by a field. 1 year, it would have something in it. The next year, it would have purple flowers, like a weed. The next year, it would have something in it again. The next year, it would have these purple flowers or yellow flowers, whatever. They rotate their crops, and they use what we think of as weeds to put nutrients back into the soil. Conventional soils, they don't do that. They just keep putting fertilizer in it and then pesticides and fertilizer and pesticides. Well, that's not organic. that's not going to provide what you want in terms of microbiome for your system.
Right.
So I don't know all of the details, but I know when I talk to my students that are in horticulture, and my dad was a farmer before he was a professor, it's just chemicals are very harmful. I remember when he said when we would spray chemicals, I stopped doing that after a while because they were a dairy farm, but they would wear gloves, shirts all the way down to here. They would cover their entire body before they would do any kind of, and even when he did that when I was growing up at home, and that was before Roundup, which is horrible. So we weed everything here. We weed by hand. We don't use Roundup for any of that. I mean, we've tried different natural things. They don't work as well, but
Okay. One other question. There goes my question. Okay, so my husband's huge on this, but will you explain to people what GMO is? And I also want you to just quickly talk about Monsanto. Yeah.
Okay. GMOs are genetically modified organisms, and they've been doing genetic modification on plants for years in terms of splicing. That's different when you take a type of tomato and you put it onto another tomato because you have a stronger root system. I'm not against that, what they've done for years and years and years. Genetic modification, though, is when you're taking like a fish gene and you're adding it to a kale plant for some purpose. Or it's not natural, it's not normal, and they have absolutely no idea what this is doing to your system. Or they'll add a chemical into the food so that it's a natural insecticide.
Right.
So what does that do when we're consuming it? First of all, the thing that I don't think people realize is organic, fresh food, your body recognizes it. So it can use it flows through your system, it goes through digestion. If your body doesn't recognize it, what does it do? It fights it.
Yeah.
So you have an inflammatory reaction to something because your body doesn't know what it is. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of information on GMOs that indicate these have been done by other people over longer periods of time. They only made Monsanto and those companies do it for, I want to say 3 months, which is insane. Could be 6. You're not going to see a lot of negative outcomes after that long when you're talking about ingesting food. When they've done other studies, and it's mostly on animals, they're finding chronic illnesses occurring after 9 months in a year eating these GMO foods. Now, again, I'd like to distinguish between the ones that are natural, where we've used, like grapevines and things like that, because that's necessary in some places. But like, for instance, all the gluten that we have that's from modifying wheat to the extent. Well, what we did is in fact, if you go to the Bush Library, the man who did this got a Nobel Prize. His picture's there because he was working here too. But he modified wheat so that if you grow it somewhere where it's very arid, you don't have a lot of water, blah, 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 that it can actually grow. And then people can consume it and they can eat food. And that's great. But then everybody started using this wheat. So we don't have any ancient grains left. Well, this wheat is extremely high in gluten. And such to the point that they think that's one of the main reasons, other than our leaky gut also could be causing problems with gluten. Yeah. It doesn't know what to do with this gluten. It doesn't recognize it, doesn't know how to use it. So GMOs, to me, I'm very against them. Monsanto has a terrific business model because they do GMO to plants, and then those plants, because of what they're doing, the reason they started that is they spray the plants to get rid of the weeds. Well, then they become resistant to that. So then they say, we have to either use stronger sprays or more spray, or we have to make a genetically modified plant that resists our own stuff. So then we have to use even more. So it's actually a good thing for them because they're constantly selling something. But I'm against GMOs.
Yeah, no, I knew you were, and I think that a lot of people get confused. Your bracelets are really pretty. GMO is versus organic. So I wanted to make that very distinction between what a GMO is. Very
organic, it cannot be GMO. So if you ever have a question, then also people don't know this, the little tag that's on fruits and vegetables, if it starts with a 9, that's organic. So if you ever have any question, just look at that number. If it says organic and starts with a 4, for instance, it is not organic. So they're required to tag it, and if they tag it and it says 9, then yes, you can be assured that's organic.
Very good.
But if not, no, I wouldn't buy it.
Very good to know.
All right, well, I have a question for my fellow gout sufferers out there. I have pretty bad gout, and they say that cherries and celery are good.
Well, I know
Do you
cherries have been.
any recommendation what you would do for like a super get out gout juicing?
I like that. Get out,
Get out gout.
Well,
I have a Pinterest board that's get
I
out gout.
think that, I mean, they say that that's one of those kind of illnesses that's due to leaky gut syndrome too.
You got
And
leaky
so,
gut.
possibly getting, I mean, that book, Eat Dirt, he explains some of the processes in there and how to heal your stomach. But I would say, because my brother had gout as well. Cherries are very good, but again, you have to look at the cherries and be careful, because when it becomes a popular crop, it becomes oversprayed. I do believe you can get tart cherries are better than sweet cherries. So if you go with the tart cherries, frozen would be better than canned. Organic is the best. I don't know that you can grow cherries here. I don't think you can. It's like apples. But that would definitely be good. But any type of juicing where you're getting natural nutrients is going to be beneficial to you in general in healing your gut and healing what the problems are, that leaky gut syndrome. You probably should be taking probiotics. I don't know if you're doing prebiotics and probiotics. Fermented foods would be really good, but again, they need to be fresh fermented. Like go to a Korean restaurant and get, what is it? Kimchi. Make your own sauerkraut.
You can make your own kimchi. There's like books on fermenting and how good it is for your gut.
And honestly, and if you get a refrigerated one that has not been pasteurized, like sauerkraut, I love sauerkraut. If you do it on the stove, not too high heat, with apples, it's fantastic. So anything like that where you're doing whole fresh foods, no processed foods, no sodas, no things like that, low on the alcohol, low on gluten. I think eggs are really important, though. I disagree with some things on eggs. I think the organic eggs, not range free, because that can be, you don't know what that means. But organic eggs, particularly if it has omega-3s in them, those are good for you. And I think that you can eat several of those a day in terms of a really clean protein. And green drinks. I'm big on green drinks because they're very alkalizing. And if your system is having problems because your blood level is acidic, because of stress, if you're working in a job where you deal with a lot of pollutants or whatever, alkalizing drinks can help make your blood pH better, and that makes you less susceptible to inflammation and other illnesses.
Great input. Thank you.
Any questions? You covered so much information.
Yeah,
I feel like we could do like 5 classes on each of those subjects at different times. That was just awesome. Thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
asking me. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and so what's going to happen, I'm going to turn this off, is that people from our retreat are going to be watching this. I also